For most of the year, Kinross is a sleepy Scottish town. Little happens here to arouse the local population, and time has a reputation for progressing at a leisurely pace. But for once a year, for only one weekend in the year, something happens to Kinross. It's invaded by folk from an outside world, a world of music, ballads and song. Gentlemen arrive in the town and perform their art in the street. No one asked the piper to come. He simply turned up, so no one will pay this piper for his tune. Mind you, on the other side of the road, a traditional ceilidh band is playing for nothing too. This is the Kinross Music Festival, a day when men and women who perform traditional Scottish folk music gather to entertain folk who simply love to hear it. Where else, for instance, could you meet a man like Davie Christie, who can perform wonders with a pair of bones? Well, we're here today to observe a subtle art of voice projection as old as music itself. Warming up are some of Britain's champion diddlers in training for an international event. Any diddler worth his salt will be in Kinross today. This man is the crown prince of the diddle, a champion among champions whose prowess at the diddle has won him many international diddling awards. Davie Glen was an undisputed champ until he retired from full-time diddling a few years ago. Well, today Davie's back, coming out of retirement to compete in the Kinross International World Diddling Championship, the Golden Rose of diddling. The question is, does Davie still have what it takes?
Davie, I believe you're making a comeback.
Aye, well, I'm hoping so anyway.
Now you're the champion, aren't you? In fact?
Well, they called me that.
Do they?
I've never claimed to be a champion, except a champion of this diddling.
Now, can you?
I've never claimed to be a champion at it.
Tell me about diddling. How did it start?
Well, diddling must have started really when the first kiddie was on its mother's knee, because it is mouth music.
It's the original music.
It's the original music.
How does it go? Would you try some with me? How we do it?
In the world of diddling, this is inside the Holy of Holies, the Kinross Town Hall, where each year the World Diddling Championships are held. A large crowd of diddling enthusiasts are here to cast a critical ear over every diddle, and a unique lady revered in traditional Scottish music circles will be the adjudicator. Annie Bell, twice World Diddling Champion, champion whistler and melodeon player, is a lady who knows a diddle or two.
I'm looking for, first of all, melody, and then I'm looking for continuity. I like to have the thing going on all the time. The diddling part must be continued. I look for good timing and liveliness of feeling.
Are diddlers made or are they born, basically?
Well, I would say they're born.
Are they?
Yes, definitely.
And so, as silence falls upon the hall, the first diddler takes the stand. The World Championship has begun. But a lot of very, very strong diddlers here today, so it's all now with the judges. Mr. Fraser, the only contestant so far choosing the seated position.
Next competitor is Davie Glen from Roybridge. From Roybridge, Davie Glen.
And now the crowd rising to what I suppose is a living legend in diddling, Mr. Davie Glen.
And a great cheer from the crowd to welcome a man who's been known as the father of diddling, Davie Glen.
And as you can gather, probably backstage, a certain amount of tension growing up now. Who is going to be the world champion? Will Davie Glen make his comeback? Is there to be a new champion?
The decision on the diddling champion.
In a few minutes now we'll know. The hall, as you can see, packed solid with people wanting to know who's going to be the 1974 World Diddling Champion.
The winner is Davie Glen with 62 out of 70.
And Davie Glen makes a comeback. And so the crowd greets the 1974 World Diddling Champion, Davie Glen. Mind you, diddling can be infectious. This international contest ended with a communal diddle, with the crowd joining in a final chorus to celebrate the end of the contest. Let's face it, diddling is harmless, diddling is fun, and above all, diddling's free.
Diddle